where you want it?
Bay 12, please.
Hello there, Transformers fans, and welcome back to another Bay 12 video review. And today we are reviewing the second pack of the Amazon exclusives IDW comic packs from Transformers Legacy Evolution. This is the Humble Origins 2-pack. So humble. And this pack features Senator Shockwave. Yep, that is the same Shockwave you're thinking of, old one eye with the barrel for an arm. Yep, it is the same guy, and don't at me G1ers who are, that's not my Shockwave. No, you're right, it's not your Shockwave. This is part of the IDW comic book universe, which is in a lot of cases inspired by Generation 1, both artistically and in some of the storyline structure in some cases, but is also its own separate universe entirely, especially in the way a lot of the characters are portrayed. And before, Shockwave was the cold, calculating, logical scientist that we know who served Megatron and the Decepticon cause, at least for a time. He was a humble, kind, fair, and a straight-up good guy who was also a senator on the Cybertronian Council before the Autobot and Decepticon Civil War. And then he was horribly disfigured and lobotomized by his fellow council members who were very much corrupt politicians, and then became the cold, unfeeling Shockwave that we all know and many of us love. So here is that awesome 2-pack. You've got Senator Shockwave clearly advocating for something on the front there in the artwork. You've got Orion Packs standing guard, because at that point in the storyline, Orion Packs wasn't some simple data clerk or some warehouse worker like he was in Generation 1, but rather he was captain of the Iacon police force and worked for both the Cybertronian Senate and the acting primes at the time. He actually worked for a few of the different primes at the time before he became Optimus Prime. Now, there's one more thing in the artwork I definitely want to talk about. A lot of fans have been talking about since the reveal of this pack, and if you look right up here, you'll notice a very familiar silhouette. In fact, you'll notice a couple of familiar things about that silhouette. One, it looks like that's the silhouette of an upcoming Nova Prime figure, which I really hope that is an official tease from Hasbro with plans to do a Nova Prime figure, because there has not been an official Nova Prime figure released in mass retail as of yet. There is one official Nova Prime figure that was made and licensed by Hasbro, and that was in the Transformers Collectors Club, which was a repaint and slight retool of the 30th anniversary IDW Orion Packs figure, which we will also talk about in this video. Anyway, that's it for the artwork on the front. That's really all I wanted to talk about there, in addition to what was going on the rest of the artwork. But on the side here, you also have Ratbat's arm, because this does connect with the other packaging. On this side, you've got the Legacy Evolution banner artwork on the back, product shots of the figures in both modes and their accessories, and that's pretty much it for the packaging. And here they both are right out of the packaging, and they both look very, very cool. So here is Senator Shockwave right here, and here is Orion Packs. Both look very cool. I love the creative retools they did, and this one is a retool of the Siege Seeker mold, of course, and then this one right here was a heavy retool of the Siege Hound figure. And while I definitely really like both of these figures, honestly, Shockwave is the better figure of the two. Mostly because there's quite a few inaccuracies with the Orion Packs. More on that when we actually focus on Orion Packs. But first, we're going to start off with Senator Shockwave here. And Senator Shockwave looks very cool. Now, this isn't the only design of Senator Shockwave from the IDW comics. In fact, he had quite a bit of different designs, at least 3 totally different and unique designs. While there were some similarities between them, I do really like this one a lot, and I can see why they chose this one over the other 2 designs, and that's specifically because it was definitely easier to kind of remold and reconfigure the Seeker figure mold from Siege into a Senator Shockwave as they did, especially since we never saw him transform in the comics, at least not to my knowledge, while he was Senator Shockwave. We only ever saw him in robot mode. So while the silhouette in robot mode is very comic accurate, and they did add a few extra things here and there to flavor it up a little, much like they did with the Senator Ratbat figure, it turned out very well. Now, as far as his accessories, he only comes with 2 accessories, and that's his little wings that plug into the side of his arms, and of course, in the side of his jet mode. What's cool about them is, aside from them being on a 5mm peg, they also do articulate up and down, so you can get some pretty cool poses and angles with the wings in both modes. So very awesome. That face sculpt right there, very comic book accurate. Same as the chest. They added a whole new chest panel that looked a little bit more comic book accurate to his robot mode. And overall, it makes for a very good figure. Real quick for comparison, here is Senator Shockwave with fellow Senator Ratbat. So you can see the 2 senators, one who was morally corrupt, the other one who just wanted the best for Cybertron, before they became the notorious Decepticons that we know and love. And I love seeing them side by side. They look very, very cool side by side. Also for comparison, here he is next to Siege Shockwave. So you can see Senator Shockwave next to the Decepticon Scientist Shockwave. So this is what he becomes. He does become this in the comics. In fact, this is how we're first introduced to the character, is the classic design and classic take on Shockwave that has been popular pretty much since the beginning. And it's so cool just to see how far and how different this character became after he was, like I said, maimed, mutilated, and lobotomized. Still, a very, very cool comparison. Just like the other releases of this mold, this figure is fully articulated. Head is on a ball joint, fully articulated shoulders, and forward and back butterfly joints, which is really cool, in and out. Upper bicep, double jointed elbows, wrist swivel joints. The wings, like I said, do articulate on a hinge and can rotate on that port. His engines on the back do articulate as well. Waist articulation, hips, upper thigh, single jointed knees, side to side ankles, and the heel and front of the foot can collapse, but that's mostly due to transformation. Speaking of transformation, transformation is exactly the same as with the rest of this Siege mold. What we're going to do is we're going to start with this back section here. We're going to pull back and untab these bits from the rest of the torso. Next, we're going to grab this little flap right here. We're going to bring that up. We're going to peg that into the back of the head. And then we're going to untab the chest. You're going to want to untab it from the bottom as it pegs in right here towards the bottom. And then push this whole section up a little bit. Then you're going to push that head in all the way into the back of the torso. And then we're just going to leave this section floating for a little while until we're ready to actually start pushing these back panels down. Next, we're going to go ahead and come over here to the arms and just get those out of the way. So right here, you're going to grab this little panel. You're going to open that up. You're going to fold in the fist, and then you're going to collapse the elbows down on that double elbow joint there, and then close that panel back up so you have all one section. Do the same thing over here. Open that panel up, fold in the fist, collapse on that double elbow joint, close that up, and then that's the arms all done. Next, we're going to do the legs. We're going to rotate that waist all the way around. We're going to close the feet and the heel down, bring those down at an angle just a little bit just to keep them out of the way for when we're closing other stuff up, and then push in this gap filler right here and bring the leg all the way up into itself, and then they're going to tab in to the back of the waist. Same thing over here, push that in, tab that in, and there's that section all done. Next, we're going to come over here to the front, rotate these little 2 pieces that connect together to make the nose of his jet mode. And then on this double hinge joint, we're just going to push that all the way down so that it's sitting flush on the front of his thighs. And then we're going to bring these arms down. There's 2 little tabs right here and 2 little tab holes in the side of where his wrist was. We're just going to peg those in to the side of the legs there. And then we're going to bring down these sections. There's a little hook bit right here that's going to hook in on the underside of this nose section right there. And then again, 2 little tabs right there that are going to tab in to the side of the arm. So bring that in, hook that little bit in, and then tab that section down. That's one side done. Same on the other side, just hook that little section in, tab that down. That's both sides completely done. And now what we have left to do is to untab these little thrusters here, bring that down on the double hinge joint, plug that in, and then just push that back section into place. Now we just got to adjust his little wings there. I like to have them angled down while he's in jet mode, and bring up the feet, which are the lower thrusters of his jet mode. And it's a pretty cool jet mode. Not a bad imagining of what his IDW Universe alt mode was before he became the classic Shockwave design. I do really dig it. It is a very, very cool alt mode. Next up, we have Orion Packs. And while this is a very cool Orion Packs figure, and it's a very unique Orion Packs figure, it is not very comic book accurate. The head is a little comic book accurate, minus the faceplate. The chest is pretty comic book accurate, and that's pretty much where the accuracies end. Other than that, this figure is actually very comic book inaccurate. As Orion Packs, as at that point in his story, he's also supposed to have these smokestack guns on the side of his arms, much like the Armada Optimus Prime design and the War Within Optimus Prime design. He's supposed to have a faceplate as this version of Orion Packs. Yes, there is a frame in the comic where he's very battle damaged and his faceplate is partially broken off and you can see his mouth underneath it. But at no point in the comics where he's in this body design with this chest and everything, the version that they're trying to go for, the version Hasbro was trying to go for here, and he does not have just the normal head without the faceplate. There is a version that does, and that's this comic book version right here, which coincidentally is very comic book accurate from a one-shot story where he was temporarily in this body for all of 1 or 2 issues total. And yeah, he didn't have a faceplate, and that's because Wheeljack intentionally left it off when he built this body for him. So this is the only version of Orion Packs from IDW Comics, to my knowledge, that truly does not have a faceplate and wasn't meant to have a faceplate. So it's weird that they left it off here. Not that it's a bad face sculpt. The face sculpt actually looks very cool. It's a really good face sculpt. But this version of Orion Packs is supposed to have the faceplate. So while it is still a cool take, it's just not very comic book accurate, unfortunately. And neither is his alt mode. At no point in the comic books, from anywhere I've read in IDW, does he have an alt mode like this figure has, which is very, very strange. The other figures in this set are so cool and so on point, except for Orion Packs, which is strange to me because I still like this figure, but of the 4 so far, it is my least favorite, just because while Hasbro did take some creative liberties with some of their retooling and mold reusage, I feel like they reached a little too far with this one, is what it is. Also for comparison, here is Orion Packs with G1 Universe Orion Packs. So here's the original Orion Packs next to this IDW Orion Packs. And here he is with the bot he is to become, Optimus Prime. So you can see IDW Orion Packs next to the classic G1 style Optimus Prime, which does make an appearance in the comics. He does take on a body very similar to this one, so at least there's that. At least they have that going for him. And here he is next to the minor Megatron from the Rise of Tyranny 2-pack. So you can see Orion Packs from his humble origins, and minor Megatron also from his humble origins. Minor Megatron also had very humble origins in the Transformers IDW universe, and has been pretty much retconned to be a character of humble origins in almost every Transformers universe, with very, very few exceptions. There's definitely more universes where Megatron started off as a miner and a gladiator than there are that he didn't at this point. Orion is fully articulated in his robot mode. Head is on a ball joint, fully articulated shoulders, upper bicep, single jointed elbows, wrists are on a swivel, waist, hips, upper thigh, single jointed knees, and side ankle joints. You can even articulate the foot up and down a little bit. That's mostly due to transformation. He also comes with the same blaster that the Siege Hound figure came with, and they molded this cool new axe for him, which is very similar to the axe design that the 30th anniversary Orion Packs came with, at least in terms of the shape of the blade. I like that it comes apart, and I also like that it's got this cool little guard over the handle there for him, so you can put that in his hands, and he can hold his cool Energon axe and his blaster at the same time, which is pretty sweet. Transformation is just like the Siege Hound figure. What we're going to do is we're going to take his weapons off first, then we're going to split his arms and unpeg them from the sides of his chest, and then we're going to lift up this section right here and unfold that section right there on the back. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to untab the inner part of the legs and extend them all the way out, like so. Bring this section up the rest of the way, push that hood down, and then come over here to the arms. We're going to kind of make him T-pose, and then we're going to rotate those all the way in, like so, just for now. Then with the legs, we're going to bring that leg all the way down over the thigh. Do the same thing over here, bring that all the way down over the thigh, and then we're going to tab them together in the back, and then push this section down over the tabs on the back of the legs. And before we secure stuff up on the front, what we're going to do is we're going to rotate those arms in, and then there's a couple tabs right here on the bottom. Those are going to tab into the form, so just bring those down, tab those in, get those nice and secure, and then we're going to tab the sides of the front of the vehicle right there into the front section of his alt mode, and then fold those feet down right here. And that's pretty much it for his alt mode. Now you just add his accessory. So we're going to put his blaster right there. We're going to take off the drum, and then we're going to peg that on right here so it looks like a tiny spare tire that is not the same size as the rest of his tires for some reason. And then you can just plug in his axe pretty much wherever on either side. And while it is a very cool alt mode, and I do like this alt mode, again, not comic book accurate. Not even a little comic book accurate. I mean, the most accurate part of this figure is this front section right here, and that's really it. That's not really accurate. The rest of this isn't very accurate. He's not some weird Cybertronian Jeep. And again, don't get me wrong. I like this. This is a cool figure, but it's not comic book accurate. This is definitely the least comic book accurate figure of the four. Real quick for comparison, here is the IDW Orion Packs with the actual IDW Orion Packs from 30th anniversary, and this is a much better figure. mostly because it's actually comic book accurate, and this one, unfortunately, as I've stated, isn't. I like the other Orion Packs design from the comics more than this one, but this one is by far way more comic book accurate. I kind of wish they had gone with the actual Orion Packs instead of just reusing the Hound mold, because unfortunately I see the attempt and there's definitely some points for effort, but this figure, like I said, is incredibly inaccurate. Also, for comparison, here he is next to G1 Universe Orion Packs, because why not? So you can see those guys side by side, which looks pretty cool. And here he is next to Senator Shockwave in his alt mode, so you can see them side by side. Definitely like Shockwave more. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to today's review featuring the new Transformers Legacy Evolution Humble Origins 2-pack featuring IDW Universe Orion Packs and IDW Universe Senator Shockwave. Overall, a pretty cool 2-pack. Personally, I liked the Rise of Tyranny 2-pack just a little bit more. Part of that is just Decepticon bias, and the other part of that is I genuinely like those two figures just a little bit more than these two figures right here. Don't get me wrong, I really liked Senator Shockwave, and I do like the Orion Packs, but like I've said multiple times, between the four of them, Orion Packs is the weakest figure of the set. And hopefully that little Easter egg on the packaging there of what looks like Nova Prime is gonna be something. And I did say this earlier, I said that it looked like there were kind of two different Easter eggs in that one Easter egg, and I didn't really cover the other one. Based off of the silhouette, it looks like we may be getting a new Nova Prime figure using the Siege Cybertron Universe Optimus Prime / Siege Ultra Magnus mold, which could be pretty promising for a new Nova Prime figure. So fingers crossed that if that is a real Easter egg, that it's coming soon. Stay tuned for more Transformers reviews. Check out some of our other content. Like and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you're looking for cool Transformers toys and merch, come by our store. It's inside Order 66 Multiverse in the shops at Willow Bend Mall in Plano, Texas. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time. Transform and roll out.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.